The world did 1,000 gigawatt of solar in just last 2 years. And while India has achieved 150 gigawatts of cumulative, only 15% is currently decentralized. A very warm welcome to all of you and to this distinguished panel. I will begin by saying three broad aspects just to introduce. First, a lot of you might be thinking, why is International Solar Alliance talking about India Energy Stack and AI for energy? The answer is very simple. The world did 1,000 gigawatt of solar in just last 2 years. 45% of that was decentralized renewable energy, which means either on the rooftop or on the pumps. And while India has achieved 150 gigawatts of cumulative, only 15% is currently decentralized, which means India will see a huge quantum leap in solar rooftops, solar pumps, PM Kusum, PM Surya Ghar, and a host of decentralized renewable energy. Now, a lot of distribution companies believe it creates more problems for them if you have a lot of solar rooftop, which actually may not be true, as we will experience in the session today. And therefore, we believe in International Solar Alliance, having digitization and AI is absolutely foundational element for doing a lot more solar. Second, while a lot of you, if you are in the sector, would have seen the data center demand and therefore what are the energy requirements for AI. Now that is true for a lot of countries, especially in the West, and it's not a trivial matter, but for developing countries, the real game changer might be AI for energy, which means what are the AI applications that will fundamentally transform the way energy sector is dealt, as you saw in India Energy Stack presentation. Because what you saw is what Amazon did to retail would happen exactly the same way in energy. In 5 years from now, millions of people buying and selling power. And finally, as intertwining of AI and energy is going to happen, it is very important to have a framework, which is what we are here today for in terms of our overall global AI mission. Which kind of a utility, which kind of an organization should be aspiring for what? And therefore, there should be a framework for you have to do this in step one, this in step two. So all these three elements is what ISA is here for. And since I have a great set of panel, I'm going to begin. I'll start with you, Hemang. Hemang is not only a senior advisor in Indian ED's office, he has worked very closely on Capacity Building Commission, Prime Minister's Office, Government of Gujarat, and World Bank as well. So Hemang, you have seen it from an Indian level and the global angle. Tell us a little bit, what do you think needs to be done to accelerate the adoption of AI? Especially it has a lot of cross-sectoral elements, both digital and energy coming together, but also the way this interoperability and products of technical assistance and lending as you look at the World Bank. What will be your perspective?
So thank you, Ashish. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me and gathering such a stellar set of people. It itself is an honor, but let us also begin by thanking Honorable Prime Minister for bringing the AI Summit here. After France, in maybe 3 months or 6 months, we are sitting here with the AI Summit. It's a big thing. When I sit in Washington, D.C., and I tell people that I'm going to AI Summit and it's in India, and they all get surprised because nobody had thought of it. So we have to thank him and thanks to REC and ISA because you are sitting here in this hall on the very first day when the Honorable Prime Minister is inaugurating the summit. So that's a big thing for this audience, this hall. Let me begin to answer your question by answering Sweta's question. I still query cash, but only outside India. Not in India. So that is, in nutshell, needs to change for AI, for energy, for the globe. If we can stop carrying cash outside India, we have changed it. let me begin by what we look at it from DC at the bank. We have around 700 million people to be connected by 2030 to electricity. We at the bank have a mission of connecting 300 million only in Africa, the continent Africa. But if we want to do that, as I saw in one of the presentations, India is going to add 300 million new customers with smart meters. Let me put it in a different way. India is going to add 300 million intelligent customers to the grid. So while the rest of the world will add 300 customers, we will add 300 intelligent customers. And that is what AI can do. So unless we look at AI not as a technology, particularly for energy sector, but as a development infrastructure itself, the way we look at the grid, the way we look at discoms, and the way we look at meters, we have to look at AI, that it is also one of the infrastructure layer that we need to create simultaneously. And that is where I think the game will change. Another aspect to it is, what AI cannot do is AI cannot bring the fiscal prudence, AI cannot bring the governance reforms, AI cannot bring all those things. But AI can enable a lot of those things. So if you are worried about your losses, and that is what is the biggest contributing factor to your fiscal issues, then AI can immediately come in and help you. So how do we look at AI as a problem solver for the problems which are non-technical in nature? That also is very important part of it. And the third and the important part is what I will borrow from our senior colleague from Jaipur. She said, we don't think in terms of pilots. So you can't think of in terms of pilots when you are talking about a technology like AI. You have to think big, you have to think at scale, and that is what IES is trying to do. And to end my intervention, what Shweta mentioned about IES, that it is going to become another banking kind of a technology, I think we should not think that small, we should think even bigger than that. We shouldn't just stop being a Finacle. We should become the Google of AI for energy for the world. And that is what AI for energy or AI or IES for energy for the world would mean. So thanks again.
No, thank you so much, Hemang. Indeed, the global AI mission for energy is indeed that level of ambition. Let me go to Henry. Henry, thank you so much for joining. You are not only been a French ambassador for digital affairs, but also DG of a leading research agency. Tell us a little bit. You mentioned very clearly that you're much more of an AI person than energy. When you hear this big push of trying to bring energy and AI together, what's your reaction on what will it take to create this ecosystem of interoperability, stack for payments, and citizen-centric approach?
Thank you. Very happy to be in India again, even if I'm not anymore an ambassador. We need to work hard to build proper ecosystems, but we need open standards, ecosystems, and good regulation if we want to win this thing. But first I want to recall, you know this, but I will say it from a digital perspective. The energy transition is accelerating everywhere, as you said. Our power systems are becoming more and more complex, with more renewable energy, more decentralization, higher expectation for resilience from citizens, from businesses, from governments. I believe that artificial intelligence might be the only way to shift to our prioritizing renewable energies. We cannot build a new system in the old organization. So we must use it, but we also must remember that innovation is not always a progress, and that sometimes, especially in the field of digital, it did turn bad. We have bad experience with social network, for example. The AI didn't play a good role, the uncontrolled AI. We did start with open and genuine and decentralized network, but some people took control, putting companies on the top of those infrastructure. So we have to learn some lessons from this. I want to add, before answering briefly to your question, France comes to this conversation with a third objective. We want the digital revolution and the environmental transition to move forward together, and that's very important. So I don't know if you know, but in France, in 2021, we did adopt a law specifically aimed at reducing the environmental footprint of the digital sector. Because, of course, there is a growing issue regarding the cost, the consumption of AI, and we have to invest fiercely to... You did see the IEA report noting that AI could represent a meaningful share of global electricity demand soon, in 2030. So we should ensure that the AI for energy does not unintentionally create a new stress on power systems. So just to mention this, that's why France helped to launch with India the International Sustainable AI Coalition during the Paris Summit, and we expect to go further during this impressive summit. I did mention this because if we come back to your question, I told you open standards, ecosystems, and regulation. Open standards are the heart of the digital revolution itself. Everything is based on TCP/IP, HTML, and other open standards, and that's not a coincidence. With open standards, first you share innovation everywhere. Because you don't have to spend time and money to make money. You can decrease the return on invest, and you can encourage a lot of innovation. And of course, people don't notice, usually. You give a strategic possibility to everyone to cooperate and to discover much more efficient way. I don't go further because I think that Sujit and the experience of the Indian digital grid will go further to this. But when you have open standards, you need big, extensive ecosystems with a huge variety of actors. They will, if you pay attention to the history of humankind, you don't have any example of anything important that was not within a very diverse and vibrant ecosystem, with this important concept of co-opetition. For example, in Bangalore, they all want to build the next DPI. So they do cooperate, they do exchange, they do share views, but they also want to be the one. So this is an example of cooperation and competition, a co-opetition. But art, music, science, and industry, everything important was born in this kind of context. And if you don't have a strong ecosystem with you, you can be like Nokia, for example. They were the universal leader of phone, but they didn't find any idea to fight the smartphone, and they basically quite died. And now they come back because they didn't have enough energy, ideas, diversity to surround them. And the last point is about regulation, and I want to say sovereignty, because for us, people from the history of internet and digital revolution, we feel a bit cheated. We did work hard to propose a world of cooperation, knowledge, citizen empowerment, diversity, decentralization, and because of a failure of regulation, because we did misregulate, it's currently turning into few big tech companies trying to control all the network, including the submarine cables, because as you have seen, the last 3 years, 80% of the new submarine cables were built by the 5 GAFAM. So, and that's probably because we did miss one point when social network did appear. We did consider them as a passive infrastructure, and they were media with curation and promotion and a very active content curation. And because of this mistake, we have very strong actors that can oppose firmly to Europe, for example, as you can see easily. With AI, it could be worse. It could be worse because if you can take control of an ecosystem through AI, you can take all the added value. They can transform every industry into a kind of Uber driver. So you are still there, but you are just a servant of the system. And the only answer to fight this is to be sure, and I think that here, Europe, India, and even on a certain perspective, China are on the same line. We need enough open source AI model to be sure that everyone will be able to innovate without asking permission, public, private, small companies, innovators, etc. And we need a strong policies to encourage sectorial models for energy, for lawyers, for farmers, etc., to have a huge diversity of solutions. We cannot afford a world with 3 AI giants controlling every aspect of the economy. So again, open standards that are the bottom of everything, strong and diverse and vibrant ecosystem, and serious regulation, or we are working for 3 sociopathic billionaires. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So very clear messages. I like that concept of collaborate and compete at the same time. I think that's very good as part of ecosystem, and also the issues of concentration and interoperability. I think those are very clear messages, which you will see in a global AI mission. But let me come to Mr. Subramaniam. Mr. Subramaniam, you look after the entire distributed renewable energy program of India as part of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Tell us a little bit of your experience, as India is now close to 3 million households, the target of 10 million. How are you seeing digitization and AI in terms of an essential piece?
Thank you, Ashish. Thanks for having me here. In fact, both of us have been together just a week's, 10 days back in Davos, and we have seen with our own eyes the scale and the speed at which India is implementing the distributed renewables has been amazing, and that is what we have presented to the globe. As you were rightly mentioning, the overall picture on renewables, let me put things in context. We are close to, as a country, we're close to almost about 500 gigawatts plus now, 520 gigawatts to be precise, and out of which almost 52% comes from the renewable sources, or the non-fossil sources to be precise, and out of which almost about 140 gigawatts come from solar. And within this entire piece, we're talking close to about 35 gigawatts of distributed renewables currently installed in the country. But the even more amazing part of it is that out of this, what we have done in the last 10 years and what we have done in the last 15 months, the last 15 months has added almost close to 18 gigawatts to the distributed renewable energy space, both under the Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which is the rooftop solarization program, one of the world's largest, and the Pradhan Mantri Kusum program, which is again the agriculture pump solarization program, again one of the world's largest. Between both the programs, we spent close to $9 billion USD on rooftop solarization and about $4 billion on the Kusum agriculture solarization. Now, what happened with this kind of a speed that is coming up on the distributed renewables? Of course, distributed renewables is something which we are going up in a big way. But where AI would help and the technologies would help, we have seen that with our own eyes in the Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar, where it's not that rooftops have not been installed in India in the last 10 years. They have been. But what has changed significantly? Why is that we could do almost 50% of what we have done in the last 10 years in the last 1 year is because of the technology solutions that we have incorporated. And the technology solutions have benefited the consumer, the people who are on the field, the vendors, the banks, and the discoms alike. So when you build a single portal, national portal, have all the stakeholders come onto it, so it adds that much of value and credence. Now, having said that, what AI is going to do, in fact, I'm sure what Shweta has presented in the India Energy Stack, it's going to be a game changer, especially for the DRE. One, because it has got all the elements of what an energy stack should do. It is not providing softwares, it is providing governance. Now, with our, what is that we are looking at from here to scale up DRE? DRE has scaled up, and it is scaled up in a big way moving forward also. But where our challenge lies is on the distribution systems, where unidirectional flow of transformers are there, where millions of prosumers are now generating, where demand response becomes important, where the assets that are being developed across the country need to be maintained. Can we build in predictability into this? There are a lot of generators who require weather forecasting, predictive analytics. Can we get this onto the AI tool? Lastly, as a consumer, as a prosumer, whether I know is my rooftop system, is my solar pump generating enough when compared to my peers? Can I be able to sell my electricity to the other peers, which the P2P is trying to enable? So these are enabling decisions. So if you ask me what the AI is going to do in the future, it will not just make us act, it will not just make us react, but it will make us act. So that is the story that we are looking forward as far as DRE and the AI convergence is concerned. Yeah.
Thank you. Before I hand over back to Aarti, I'm actually going to ask a very quick one-sentence question to all three of you in the same order. There is incredible noise around AI, I feel. And it's very important to lead it to specificity. So my one-line question is, what would success in next 1 or 2 years on AI for energy should mean? Start with you, Hema.
See, I think this is a very fast-moving, evolving technology. So you shouldn't look for very early successes upfront. You should look for very long-term building of platforms, long-term building of infrastructure. For example, let me give you one example. International Solar Alliance. Honorable Prime Minister conceived it in 2014. Now it has 42 countries. It will have 80 countries in no time. And that is the digital public infrastructure for deploying AI to the world, right? So we should think in that long-term sense. So what is one layer that we can create from India and give to the world? That is how I look at it.
Okay. So we have 125 countries, but we need to go much bigger. Henry, what would success look like in next 1 or 2 years?
I think that we should prove that we are integrating as much renewable energies as possible in our grid, thanks to a much better gestion of the grid. Because I think you are the professional, but the renewable energies are less predictable, and you need much more provision, anticipation, control of the network. You cannot just add more solar system. So that's
renewable
thanks to AI that we can have a very significant proportion of.
Okay, very clear.
I think in the next 2 to 3 years' time, success in AI and the RE convergence would be where the overall cost of power to the consumers go down, our industrial competitiveness goes up, and consumer empowerment becomes a prosumer empowerment, and our grids become ready for energy transition. This is all what I would look like.
Wonderful. So with that, thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to this set of panel.